Now at 6, a Gresham grandmother robbed after a stranger follows her home from an ATM. The search for the suspect and how to protect yourself. Plus, a backcountry avalanche in eastern Oregon. What we're learning about the tragedy that claimed the life of an avid skier. And the new plan to make weather forecasting more accurate.
We analyzed all of the microclimates in our forecast area and decided what the new zones should be.
How the National Weather Service aims to make watches and warnings more relevant to where you live. And thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Tim Gordon, and we begin with developing news from Governor Tina Kotek's office about the future of tolling on Portland area freeways. Well, today the governor sent a letter to the Oregon Transportation Commission telling them they need to shelve the per-mile tolling plans for sections of I-205 and I-5 in the Portland Metro. The reason: the costs and challenges of implementing tolling have, quote, grown larger than the anticipated benefits and are uncertain at best. The governor told the commission it should not spend any more money exploring tolling and push the funding question to the legislature, the 2025 session. However, the governor told the commission that this should not impact tolling on the I-5 replacement bridge project, which is being coordinated with the state of Washington. Alma McCarty is following this story, and she'll have more details, including reaction from Transportation Committee members. That's coming up at 11. And now to a shocking robbery in Gresham. A grandmother withdrew money from an ATM and drove 5 minutes back home. That's where she was robbed by a woman who followed her home from the bank. Thomas Schultz joins us now live from Gresham. And Thomas, what else do we know here?
Yeah, well, Tim, right behind me, this is the ATM that Cheetah Nix withdrew that $500 in cash in before she went back home, about a 5-minute drive. She pulled into her driveway, and a few minutes later, a car pulled in behind her. That's when the alleged robbery happened. Now, the entire incident was caught on video. Take a look. Minutes after Cheetah Nix arrived home after visiting the ATM, Ring video shows a woman walk up Nix's driveway and tell her she dropped something blocks away back at the ATM machine on Northeast 181st Avenue. Then suddenly, as the woman walks away, she opens Nix's car door, stealing her purse.
Oh, I'm checking.
Swiping $500, insurance cards, and a gold bracelet Nix's mother gave her.
I cannot get out of the house. I'm scared.
And Nix says after the Friday robbery, she didn't sleep for days.
Nightmare too. I couldn't sleep for 2 days.
And her daughter can't believe something like this would happen on their quiet street in Gresham.
These people literally just came to our house and just, we had to replace everything.
And now, Jen Sudavong is determined to find the woman and getaway driver who robbed her mother.
We've learned that this is called bank jugging, where people hang out at banks and they target people that are taking money out of the ATMs or coming out of the banks, and they just follow them to rob them.
After posting the incident online, Sudavong says others in Gresham told her they've had similar issues.
Knowing like this is where you live, and someone comes and robs you like that, it's hard to get past it,
Leaving her worried this could happen again. Now, the family says that they've contacted Gresham police, and the police department is investigating this situation, though they don't know where that investigation currently stands. We reached out to the Gresham police as well to get further clarification on what they're doing about this. We haven't yet heard back. Tim?
Scary situation. Thomas, thanks very much. Now to our headlines. 2 people are dead in what Scappoose police are calling a double homicide. Details are limited right now, but we know it happened just before 10 o'clock last night on Southwest Linden and Sequoia. The only thing we know about the victims is that they were killed with a weapon. We also know the suspect is in custody. We'll share any new information about the story as soon as we get it. Well, 2 people have now been confirmed dead after a small plane crash last night in Central Oregon. The plane, a Piper PA-32, took off from the Aurora Airport in Marion County and was headed to Idaho. Then just after 7:30, it clipped a wire above a Bonneville Power transmission line about 5 miles southeast of Madras and crashed into the ground there. The Jefferson County Sheriff said the pilot and a passenger died in the crash. Their names have not been released. The plane is registered to an owner out of Caldwell, Idaho. Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is blaming officials in Oregon for failing to seek extradition for a man wanted for rape and sex abuse charges. On March 1st, the Martin County Sheriff's Office in Florida posted on Facebook that Juan Jose Sebastian was going to be released from jail, despite the fact he was wanted for rape and sex abuse in Oregon. The 26-year-old, who's been undocumented since coming to the U.S. from Guatemala in 2015, had been arrested in Florida for driving without a license. Now, initially, the sheriff's office said U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement will not take custody, and Washington County, Oregon, will not extradite.
And so the plan was just to release him on the streets of Florida. Well, that is unacceptable.
Well, the next day, Jose Sebastian was back in custody after federal immigration authorities learned about the warrant in Oregon. But the Washington County DA's office is pushing back hard on the governor's claims. Kyle Eboshi will have their response coming up on the story at 6:30. Well, Portland Police, OSP, the Multnomah County Sheriff, and Transit Police all teamed up for a major narcotics mission that ended with dozens of arrests last week. Officers recovered 2 stolen vehicles, 3 illegal firearms, and an array of drugs, including fentanyl pills and powder, methamphetamine, and cocaine. 42 people were arrested, with a total of 58 felony and misdemeanor charges among them. Well, a heads up, if you're planning to take the MAX Red Line to or from the airport tomorrow, TriMet says trains will not be running to the PDX station because they need to take a close look at some tracks there for repairs. In fact, inspectors discovered a hairline fracture in the track at a street crossing between PDX and the Mount Hood Avenue station. So shuttle buses will run from Mount Hood Avenue to the airport terminal, and so expect delays.
It is rocking and rolling out of the Oregon coast right now. This is Newport. You can see the rain. You can see the camera kind of moving around a bit because the winds are gusting right now 36, but we've had gusts of about 45 miles an hour, and they're still sustained very strong at about 25. So yes, wet, windy. The wind is going to arrive in the Portland area within a couple of hours too, so it's going to be a very blustery night tonight. Look at the Cascades. More snow falling up there. There's been at least 7 inches of new snow since yesterday up on Mount Hood at Timberline Lodge, and there's going to be, well, we can double that, probably more like 12 to 18 inches of new snow by the time we roll into tomorrow night. There's a winter weather advisory up in the Cascades. You can see the snow on Doppler radar. You can see the rain in Portland, although the steady widespread rain is becoming a little more showery farther south because our cold front is pushing inland, and that's why we're going to get the strong winds tonight as that moves on through. But then things will begin to transition, a gradual transition the next day or two. But once we roll into Thursday, it's warm. 70s in the forecast, which are rare in the month of March. Our average date of our first 70-degree day is April 2nd. We're going to beat that by a couple of weeks, and we're going to beat last year by over a month. So some very, very warm weather on the way once we get into Thursday and beyond. Tim, more on that in a bit. Back to you.
So thanks, Matt, very much. And sticking with the weather, the National Weather Service here in Portland is improving the way it issues warnings on severe weather. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here to explain. Hey, Joe.
Hey there, Tim. You can think of it as a new tool the National Weather Service has when it comes to issuing out warnings and watches. It makes it more specific starting now. Typically, we see their advisories that cover a large geographic area. But with the new system that launched last week, warnings and watches will get more detailed and take into account the microclimates we see right here in the Pacific Northwest.
It's fair to say forecasting here in the Pacific Northwest can come with some challenges. You have the Pacific Ocean that modifies the air as fronts come in, and of course the gorge with its very cold winds that can quickly turn things icy, as we experienced earlier this winter.
For the Portland metro area, we know that east side can get really impacted by the east winds from the gorge, but they may not always make it all the way into downtown Portland or even the west side.
When we do see inclement weather, the National Weather Service will issue watches and warnings.
Our zones were pretty large. The Portland metro zone ranged all the way from the West Hills on the west side and all the way east past Troutdale.
Now the National Weather Service is making changes to make their advisories more specific.
We took our zones, which are portions of our forecast area that are broken down into some smaller areas, and we broke them down even smaller.
Heather Chandler Cooley is a lead meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Portland. She says their new system is a lot more detailed now.
We analyzed all of the microclimates in our forecast area and decided what the new zones should be based on.
The new zones look like this. Instead of being broken down into the coast area, valley, or the Cascades,
It is now roughly about 25 zones, whereas before we had closer to 15 zones.
now the NWS can send an alert out for Zone 111, for example, which is Inner Portland Metro. Cooley says this will be really helpful in the winter months.
So now we can issue winter weather advisories for, say, just the West Hills and leave downtown Portland out of it.
Now, the National Weather Service in Seattle are going to be following Portland's lead. They plan on making changes to its warning system later this fall. Tim, back to you.
Interesting stuff. Thanks, Joe. And from weather preparedness to earthquake readiness, if a quake were to strike right now, do you have a plan? Well, if you have Shake Alert set up on your phone, you might have a few extra seconds to put that plan into action. Cale Williams joins us now. And Cale, today is the 3rd anniversary of this system.
Tim, the Shake Alert system officially went online 3 years ago today on March 11, 2021. That date's important because it was exactly a decade after the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan. The devastation across the Pacific served as a wake-up call for those of us on the West Coast. And that led to the Shake Alert system, which consists of more than 200 seismic monitors all over the state. They can detect quakes just as they're starting and send alerts to your phone, giving you valuable lead time to get ready before the shaking starts. Leland O'Driscoll, network manager for the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, he said the system already proved its worth when a large earthquake struck near the Oregon-California border. Folks in Brookings, Gold Beach, and as far inland as Medford got up to 60 seconds of warning ahead of the quake.
People will get those alerts and be able to then take the precautionary drop, hover, and hold on processes without having to feel the earthquake first and scramble around, right? They can safely take cover, know the earthquake will come, and then ride it out in a much more sort of calm environment.
Now, it's been almost 325 years since the last time a major Cascadia earthquake shook the Northwest, and the next one really isn't a matter of if, but when. So there's no time like the present to make sure your phone is set up to receive Shake Alerts. We've got instructions up right now on how to do so at kgw.com. Tim?
Yeah.